Okay, another remote viewing I did with another ET. This is how it happened. Okay, I'm listening to Coast AM with Art Bell before George Norrie came and ruined everything. Anyway, so somebody was on there talking about J-Rod, the alien called J-Rod, and I forgot all the details about it. But anyway, you can look it up online, J-Rod. I think he was in Area 51 or some place like that. I can't remember the details of where he was. But anyway, I think he crashed and they got him and they stuck him in Area 51, one of the aliens they captured. And I think it was the Bird Group, I can't remember. Big, giant conspiracy going on there. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, for fuck's sakes, this ain't fucking real. This ain't real. This is all, everybody's just conspiracy talking shit, right? That's what I did. That's what I thought. And I'm laying there 4 o'clock in the morning listening to this. So the next day, I get done and I'm like thinking about this J-Rod and this J-Rod story they were doing on Coast to Coast AM. And I decided, well, I can fucking remote view. And I'm dealing with my ETs. So, hey, let's go see. Let's go see if there's anything to this. So I lay down, meditate, cross over, bring my spirit to my head, and I chant, I will myself to J-Rod alien. I will myself to J-Rod. Then I start flying. So my eyes are closed. I never open my eyes. I just keep them closed till I land. And then I come down, I land, I stop. I stop moving. I can feel myself, my spirit, my soul flying and moving. I stop, I open my eyes, and here I am. Bam. Face to face with a J-Rod. Now to me, he was real skinny. He was laying down on his side. I just opened my eyes. There he is. He's real skinny. Looks sort of like a praying mantis, like he's really skinny. And he's just laying there on his side on some kind of surface. I don't know. I didn't really look at the surface. I was taken aback by oh my God, this is fucking real. So anyway, I hooked up to his inner light. I reached out with my soul hands, touched his ethereal skins, found his inner light, hooked it up to my inner light, and we started talking. We didn't actually talk. I'm laying there, I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, because he doesn't have that division between ego and spirit. He's just all spirit within his physical, like most races of aliens, ETs. And you learn that over time as you remote view people and then you remote view ETs. You can see the difference. They ain't got the division between ego and spirit where we do. Anyway, I hook up to him, we're talking. And we're talking spiritually, not physically, okay? I'm going to try to remember the experiences best I can. So this is going on I hook up to him, I'm looking at him laying there, and he's real skinny. He looks like the praying mantis. They say the praying mantis type aliens, but that's just a word people use. But anyway, it would look like a praying mantis. My first response was, "Oh, fuck, he's a praying mantis, right?" And but he had 2 legs, body, 2 arms, and a head. But skinny as all hell. I'm like, oh, where is he? What's going on here? And then I backed out of where he was. I backed up, and I'm standing in this giant black room, like a hangar, but I can't see the walls. It's all black on the outside. It's glass, sort of some kind of plexiglass. Cages in it, and it's round, sort of like round. There's a base on a black base, and there's tubes and pipes and big gizmos hanging on it, hanging on this thing. And there were scientists, there were people walking around in biosuits, around a couple guys walking around in white biosuits. And I realized that this cage he's in is like environmentally controlled, temperature controlled. So whatever this ET is, J-Rod, is breathing, it's not what we're breathing. They're pumping it in there to keep him alive and keep him going, right? Or whatever. They put him in a fucking cage, like a fucking zoo animal. And they're keeping him alive that way. And he's just sitting there, laying there, just, right? And he wasn't dead or nothing, he was just bored out of his fucking mind. Then, I just, all my love and compassion and, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this to him, that type of thing. And I go, dude, you're in living hell. And I came up to him, hooked with innocence. I basically said from my spirit, sorry for the human race. Sorry for these fucking morons that are doing this to you. And I go, I'm not one of them. And I reached out and I wanted to give him a gift to let him know. I thought, give him a gift to let him know we're not a bunch of fucking Planet of the Apes down here, okay? Let him know that, like he probably already does, but I just want to let him know that I'm not one of these fucking guys that are doing this. We're not all fucking apes. So I reached out, and the only thing I did, I went to hand him something, and it was a rose. I had a rose. And I reached out and I gave him the rose just to show, with love and compassion, we're not all fucking retarded zombies like these scientists in the military and everything. They're keeping them locked up in this cage. I go, these guys don't represent the human race, okay? That's what basically I was saying. So I gave him the rose and he took it. And then I'm like, I gotta go. And I had to go pee or something. So I zoomed back. And then that was the first time I hooked up to him. I'm like, since I was there, I'm like, oh, I gotta go back. I want some more experiences with this guy, right? I don't know where he was when I went to saw him. I just hooked up to the entity. Wherever it was, I don't know. Area 51, S4, other bunker underground places all over the world. I have no fucking clue where he was. But it was on Earth in an underground facility. More or less. Then I went back the next day. Willed myself to him. I willed myself to him, but I was really tired. I willed myself to him, I hooked up to him, and just when I was getting ready to do stuff, I fell asleep. But I didn't, it's like you're so relaxed, you're so meditated, and you're concentrating, trying to stay focused, you go into dream. So this is what I saw. I didn't just go into a dream, I had a fucking vision, alright? I'm hooked up to him, I'm getting his ethereal skin, I hooked up to his innocence. We're fucking one now, more or less. White light to inner light to inner light. And as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And he's just laying there still. All of a sudden, I checked out and boom, I'm in a vision. I'm standing on top of a mountain. Ice cold, snowing. It's not snowing, blue sky. Crisp mountaintop blue sky. You know that? And I'm standing there, and there's pine trees all around me. Not all around me, but I'm in a little bit of a clearing. There's pine trees. And I look up, because I hear jets, fighter jets. And there's 2 fighter jets. And all of a sudden I see streams coming from these 2 missiles launched from the 2 fighter jets. And they hit the spacecraft. The spacecraft goes, it doesn't explode, it just fucking gets messed up, comes down and crashes down in the ridge somewhere. And I'm like, I feel like I'm a logger or something, like an outdoors guy, and I got snowshoes on, or I got boots on, I got winter gear, all climbing gear, I got a backpack full of aid. it's like I'm living someone else's eyes. I'm living through someone else's eyes. The guy who saw this. Then I see it crash. Boof! It doesn't crash and explode or anything. It just poof into snow, right? And I'm like, holy shit! So I start running. I start running over to the craft, and I don't get very far. Then I get up to the ship, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking at the crash site, and I realize I'm in like Alaska. I'm in Alaska, up close to the top of the mountains. It's ice cold. It's windy. And I'm not in the rock. You know, the top of a mountain where it's rock. I'm still in the tree line. I'm still below the tree line in the valleys, somewhere in that type of environment, because there's pine trees. And I had to run through the pine trees to get to the craft. All of a sudden, boom, I wake up. And then I come back to my body. That to me was, I had the vision. And the vision was, within my inner light, I hooked up and I saw how he got here to the earth, okay? How he got in the predicament he's in. He got shot down by some fighter jets from out of Alaska, over Alaska. Now, what was I? What was I? Who was I, the character? I was in creation in the inner light. I was experiencing what someone experienced, because in the light, we're all one. In the inner light, we're all one. So what happened was, I was seeing another guy's experience. Okay? So whoever I was in Alaska and saw the jets shoot the UFO and the UFO crashed near me, I ran over there, and that was the guy's experience. Well, part of it anyway. The most important part of how J-Rod got to the fucking earth. And this guy witnessed it. Now, I could have been the guy, the fighter pilot. I don't know, right? I could have been the fighter pilot and shooting it down. But you see how fast you have a vision and you don't know how everything works. You think you're the guy. In my past life, I was the guy who saw the UFO. No. The creator's showing you through someone else's experience. Okay, I've never been to Alaska. Okay, I've been to BC, but I've never been to Alaska. All right, I've been to Yukon, but I've never been to Alaska. I've never been in that place. I never had that experience, but I'm seeing it through someone else's eyes, because everything in the creation is recorded in your inner light, and the inner light is God, and everybody's inner light is connected to God. And so when you ask, God will show you through someone else's eyes their experience of what happened to this J-Rod guy. That fucking simple. But everybody thinks, no, I did it. Just a little piss me off. That happens all the time. People do this on every single psychic channel out there. So they claim it and then say it was them, but it was someone else. And they don't know what the fuck we're talking about. It drives me nuts. So anyway, I have this experience. I come back to my body. I wake up and I write it down. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So the next day, I'm in there. So I hook up to this J-Rod again, right? This is the third time in 3 days I hooked up to the J-Rod. And this is another experience I have. So I go there, check out. I wheel myself to J-Rod. I'm flying. He's in a different position now. And just laying there. He's just laying there. And I grab his skin. I hook up to his inner light. And so I don't know what to say. I'm just standing here looking around. There's nothing going on. He's laying there for the third day. And all of a sudden, I'm looking in his eyes. I'm looking at his skin, trying to get detail, and next thing I know, boom, I'm in his spirit realm. And I got total love and compassion, just total enveloped with love and compassion, okay? And heartwarming, beautiful, just whoosh. And I'm floating in, you know what opal looks like? You know the different colors of opal? The stone opal when you polish it, and it's all shiny, it looks like rainbow colors. That's where I am. I'm in rainbow color world. All around me, I can't see absolutely nothing. It's just rainbow colors and love and compassion and all that. And I'm floating around for like a minute. I'm just like, wow. And I'm just like, wow. Just totally heaven, what we call heaven. But I'm in his, I came back out of that. I snapped out of it. I came back and I felt that was a gift from him because I gave him the rose. Okay? I gave him the rose with our love and compassion. So what he saw in his spirit, and so when I hooked up to him, was we ain't all like these fucking military scientists and freaks, okay, on the earth. You know, I'm here to give the rest of the human race some credit. You know, we are humans. You know, we're not just fucking bad guys. And which you're in. And that's what I wanted to tell him. So I handed him the rose. But when I handed him the rose, I gave him that we're that. He responded and gave me this back. And where I was in the opal world. And to me, what I felt from him, I felt only from one other source, my ETs for a split little bit. And I felt from Christ. It was the same feeling you get from Christ. Now, 20 years later, after this experience, I'm going through my whole Christ thing, and I learned about Christ consciousness. Okay, Christ consciousness, nothing to do with religion. Okay, Christ consciousness is universal, but in J. Rod's spirit and for his culture where he's from, he don't call it Christ consciousness. He calls it opal world or whatever. But it's the same feeling, it's the same thing. Here on earth we call it Christ consciousness. On his world they call it something else. And it's universal. So each culture makes up their own Christ consciousness word for the same vibe. Now, why it was all opal, I don't know. Maybe that's the realm his spirit lives in. Okay? Because it's more highly evolved. I don't know. But it is the same feeling. And I was just swimming in opal. Like swimming in it. On love and compassion and bliss. I couldn't see anything else but opal. But that's what I learned from that ET. And he gave me, he said, this is where I'm from. And when I gave him the rose, I hooked up my innocence to him and gave him the same thing. And I go, this is where I'm from. So what he saw when I gave him the rose was physically, I gave him the rose, he saw that. But spiritually, what I gave him was different. I don't know. I couldn't tell because I was too focused on why do I got a rose in my hand. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what you can do with remote viewing. But you got to interpret what's going on with what you got. Okay? All the baggage in your head, get rid of it. Your ego, get rid of it. The only thing you want from ego is perception and adding up in yourself what's going on. So when I had the experience of the guy running around the mountaintop, it wasn't me. It was the guy running around the mountaintop. But I'm seeing through his eyes because the creator, the glow, the inner light, showed me his experience of what happened. Because no one else experienced it except the fucking pilots, okay? But I never saw through their eyes. I saw the guy on the ground who saw the action. It blew him away. He probably got in shit for it. Because he ran up to the craft, and the craft was laying there on the side of the mountain, crashed through the trees and everything. It's laying there. Then the helicopters came, the military came, and took it all away, but probably gave him shit. Said, you fucking say anything, we're gonna fucking kill you. That's what they do, right? You know, they do it for over lesser things, so sure as hell they're gonna do it over a crashed craft, ET craft. But this is all the experiences I got in remote viewing at J-Rod, which I thought was total bullshit, from coast to coast, Art Bell, coast to coast, back in the 80s, 90s. Well, I think it was the 90s, somewhere in the 90s. And you can look it up, J-Rod, Coast to Coast AM. Google it right now on YouTube. Listen to the whole thing. It's the exact same thing I listen to. There's probably more shows, but one of them, the one with Art Bell and J-Rod, that was the one I listened to that made me remote view J-Rod, which I didn't even think it was real. And the only way I wanted it, because I got curious, I just wanted to know. I wonder if this is real or just bullshit. Well, go remote view them, dumbass, because you've done it, so I might as well. And that's what I got. Awesome experiences, man. But I knew inside myself what I was dealing with, how it all worked out. So you gotta be on top of you. You gotta know your own shit inside yourself. Okay? That's why when I'm watching other people tell their experiences, and they say, well, I was like another person, like a psychic would say this, give this experience. I was suddenly on the mountain and I'm watching all this. That was me. I'm the great psychic. No, shut up. And I know it. I know it. I know they're bullshitting and they're just delusional. They're not delusional, they're seeing it, but they're not interpreting it right. You gotta interpret it right. Alright? Because when you have a vision, it's from the Creator, your inner light. Damn. That fucking hard to figure out. Okay, later, guys.